Good morning, my friends. Al Furtado here, the Rebel. Turner. And first, I want to apologize for not putting out a wood turning video this week. And reason for that is that, as some of you know, I do wood turning aboard my catamaran. And turning on a catamaran poses its own set of problems. Well, in this particular problem is my generator decided not to run. Or should I say, it needs a start solenoid. It wants to stay engaged. So anyway, I have not been able to turn, and it's driving me nuts. So today, what I'm going to do is give you a review so far on the Nova DR or 14DR. It's variable speed, and I gotta tell you, as far as power is concerned on this lathe, so far it's been great. I have not given it a full test with large pieces, but I've been turning long enough that I know if I'm gonna have a problem or not. So far this seems to hold as much power as the old Delta lathe that I had in my home shop. I know that on that lathe, even though I had a 1.5 horse 3-phase motor, when I would slow it down, I could stop the lathe very easily. And this one so far, I have not seen that. Again, in all fairness, I have not run the size pieces that I would run on the Delta. But I want to give that a review on I want to give a further review on this, actually running the biggest I can. The way I have it right now, I have it set for the lowest speed, which means on the variable, on the controller, I can go down to 200 RPM or less, which I don't see any need to turn anything that slow. And if I crank it up all the way up, it goes to around 1200 RPM, or just below 1200 RPM. So that means that on the belt system, I got the belt set at the biggest pulley over here and the smallest on the motor. I'm not going to open that up. It's opposite of this. So that gives me the highest torque, but the lowest speed at the head. If I was doing small things, like, I mean, even on my Atlas or my Delta, I always ran my lathe was in this configuration, even though it had more pulleys, but it was always the smallest on the motor to the biggest on the pulley. The difference was that if I overclocked the hertz on my DFD, but I could overclock it and still get more top speed than what I will get with this, because that's fixed at 60 hertz. So I can't double that up. So this, on the small turnings that I've done, there's times that I wish that I had higher speed for the final cuts on it. But in overall, if I was running anything bigger than what I've ran on here, I would not dare run faster than 1200 RPM anyway. So far, the lathe is promising, very promising. It's not a lathe you will be sorry you bought if you get one. Even though I've had a couple of people saying, well, yeah, well, it's a MIDI lathe, Al. You're not going to be able to turn big things. I have a funny feeling that I will be able to turn things to the max that this can turn, which is 14-inch. Now, why, Al, why do I need a 14-inch lathe? You're on a boat, why not turn small things? It's not that I need to turn 14-inch piece, but if I have a piece of wood that's slightly jagged and not uniform to the max that this can do, 14-inch, which on a bowl itself would be a pretty decent sized bowl. But I could be turning something that the bowl itself is only 4 inches or 6 inches, a plateau of some sort, and it has jags on the outside that I want to keep, or do offsets that I want to specifically do an offset turning. Well, this allows me to go a little bit bigger than the 12-inch. That's the only reason, other than the Nova name, why I got this particular lathe and not the Delta or not the Jet. Now, many of you know me. I am not a name brand type of person, because my motto has always been, and will continue to be, as turn with whatever you got. Really, turning is such an amazing hobby, and for so many reasons. I mean, for me, it was therapeutical when I was having shoulder problems, and I would get to the lathe and I would feel no pain at all. Not saying I wouldn't feel it afterwards, but during the time on the lathe was the only time that I felt some sort of relief from the pain that I had on my shoulders at the time. So that, plus the fact that it's such a wonderful hobby, I got turning and I could never give it up. And that's why I have a lathe, even on my retirement, living aboard my Catamaran. So if you think this would be a hobby for you, go Craigslist, go eBay, go Harbor Freight, it doesn't matter. Get yourself a lathe, whatever size. I have never knocked the Harbor Freight. I have never knocked any other brand, because I've had my lathes, 2 of them, which one was an Atlas, an old Atlas with almost no functionality. And once I realized that I really, really enjoy this hobby as much as I do, then I started making upgrades to it. Not went out and bought the next generation lathe, something that was going to wow anybody. It was upgrades. I showed you guys how you can upgrade certain lathes. Not all lathes. What I did to my Atlas and what I did to my Delta, you can't do to every type of lathe. It depends on the lathe itself. But if you go with a 3-step pulley lathe, bottom motor, and the pulley system, generally you could upgrade from that. Whether if you went with VFD, whether if you just went bigger capacity, which I did both. You guys can do it. Tools. You really don't need 50 million tools. You don't need all the fancy gadgets that are out there. I really like turning with the very basic tools. My first tool set that I actually bought, was a Harbor Freight 8-piece set or 6-piece set, whatever it is. It really doesn't even matter. It comes with a couple of spindle gouges. It comes with a parting tool, a couple of scrapers, so on and so forth. No bowl gouge per se, or spindle gouge of this type. So because of that, I modified the angle that this is sharpened, and I can use this pretty much, gotta stay safe, but as a bowl gouge. And I do a lot of cutting with this, and it actually sometimes it's my preferred tool. in the shop that I reach for. Now, really my go-to tool all the time. Now, Carter & Son was nice enough and gave me a real quality tool, and I feel guilty that I don't use it enough. It's really a nice tool, but you don't need it, so I don't use it. I don't use it all the time because I don't want you guys to get the impression, well, he does the turning he does because he's got a $200 or $150 bowl gouge. That is not the case. Like I said, I try working all the time with what I got, and I try telling you guys that you really don't need to go that route. So one tool that I do suggest you buy, this is not endorsement, it's not anything, it's just telling you that at low price points you can buy a nice tool. Yes, you got a lathe, you feel that you are hooked on a habit, but you don't want to spend still $1,000 in extras or tools and this and steady rests, and there are some of those tools that you do need. So eventually you'll work your way into it, depending on what you turn. But I bought a set of 3 Hurricane tools. Price set me back $120 for the 3 of them, which was a 5/8 half inch at 3/8 bowl gouge. I bought that once I knew that I wanted to maintain this hobby and keep it going. So I have the Hurricane, and that is my to reach for tool all the time. I use that Hurricane 5/8 almost exclusively throughout most of my turning. So now when we talk about steady rest, you see people and they popping in their steady rest on their boat. There is a need for a steady rest if you are going to turn vases, long pieces that require you to do a long reach inside to hollow out. At that point, go look at some of YouTube. I have some on how to make a steady rest to add to your arsenal, and that is a must-have if you are doing long pieces. Now, if your intention are to do pens and bowls and decorative shallow pieces, you will never need a steady rest. So keep that in mind. It is strictly for doing deep pieces that you need to reach way inside to hollow out. What else? You might need a drill chuck, with your lathe if you did not get one. It's a drill chuck, and you can put a large piece, a large drill bit, Foster bit, or whatever, and those are typical tools that you have around the shop. I haven't really looked at it, how to convert one from an old broken drill or something like that. You might be able to do that if you can get a Morse taper, but these are not that expensive. If you go on Amazon, you can probably pick one up for $20 or so. It should be part of your lathe arsenal, is you should have a chuck that can go on the tailstock end for you to help you out with boring some stuff, whether if you're going to do pen turning, whether if you're going to be doing vases, anything like that, even to assist you sometimes with getting the middle started from an end grain piece on the bowl, a platter, or something like that. You can go in there with a drill bit, and that will help you quite a bit on hollowing out the rest of that. Other than that, on tools, all you need is the willpower, or the will to want to come out and turn. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you got some usable information out of this, and we'll see you on the next time, hopefully with me turning something. I do have a few pieces of wood that are needing to go up on my lathe. Again, this was a review on the Nova Comet 14DR. Think it's an awesome lathe. I think it will suit me well if I can keep the rust out of it. Take care. See you next time.